Next, we wanted to feature some traditional American music. You will hear the evolution of the American style of singing and American style of music from its roots here. You may recall when America was founded, we had some needs. You know, you have everyone coming over on the pilgrim boats, you have these voyages, we have the settlers going across the country trying to settle things, and you need doctors, you know, you need carpenters, you need hunters. You don't really need choir directors and professional singers. It wasn't a priority, so there wasn't a lot of beautiful singing going on in the early American days. There were some, there were naturally gifted people, but not a lot of trained musicians came over on the boats. It just wasn't that necessary. And Lowell Mason in Boston actually started American music education in Boston because of church choirs. Went around and all the church choirs sounded terrible. So he went to the government in Boston and said, I think that you should teach singing in the schools. And if you do that, the church choirs won't sound so bad. So they let him try it in one small school, and it went so well. They let him try it in the whole city of Boston, and it went so well that now we teach music in every school in the United States. Yay. But before that, the singing wasn't as beautiful. Now, this is a wonderful style of music, and I really do enjoy it. It's just not a tone that you're going to be used to. So we're looking at the sacred harp style of singing. It's an old-fashioned American style. There's a book called The Sacred Harp. It's basically a hymnal. It is a shape note style of singing. For those who are familiar with music notation, you have little circles with lines on them. That's all you need to know. That's what the notes look like. In shape note singing, each note has a different shape, depending on where it is in the scale. So some notes are circles, some notes are triangles, some notes are rectangles. And that helps you decode where the music is because, like I said, there was no music education to be had in the early American days. So they tried to make it a little easier on you to figure out where you were in the scale. In fact, they use solfege too. You may remember that from do, a deer, a female deer, re, a drop of golden sun. Yeah? So you have do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Early American solfege only had fa, sol, la. And they just repeated it again. Fa, sol, la, ti, do. So you had the extra one there, but you had to throw out some of those words because 7 was too much for them to remember. So what you get is this very raw, very natural, very aggressive, very bright singing style that isn't the traditional classical style. You'll notice a lot of similarities to barbershop and to musical theater. Both very bright, ringy, nasal, almost spoken singing styles. And you hear that today in modern American pop music, more so than a lot of other cultures in their popular music. Mary, can I get an A major? So the way you traditionally heard this tune is, Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found, was blind, but now I see. That big open space inside, they didn't have that back then. It was much more ringy, much more bright. So you need to bring a big smile in, almost like you bit an apple, and go, Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found, was blind, but now I see. Listen to the choir sing that melody for you one more time, and then I need you to sing along with me. The problem is, it's a little different than the melody you know. You may know a different version of Amazing Grace. I once was lost, but now I'm found. That's the part that's a little different and throws you off. Listen to the choir once. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found, was blind, but now I see. Now I don't do this to make fun of the style. It's a beautiful style and it's wonderful. If you hear of a shape note sing or sacred harp sing anywhere around you, you should check it out. It's wonderful, it's beautiful. Happens at a lot of folk festivals, and you will wake up at 6 or 7 a.m. to a barn full of 300 people just singing it, blasting it through the whole audience, out through the field as far as the ears can hear. I would love for you to join us in singing that melody, and then the choir will sing to you a 4-part version. This is from the Sacred Harp hymnal. It is to the tune New Britain, which is where that melody of Amazing Grace comes from. The melody is separate from the text and was added to the text about 100 years after. The text was written by a clergyman who was conscripted into the British Navy then went on to work in the slave trade. And while on a ship off the coast of Ireland, a massive storm bore down on him. The ship was rocking, the sails were ripping, everyone was sure they were going to die. Having never been a religious man in his life, he fell down to his knees and prayed to God for salvation, and God answered his prayers. The clouds parted, the storm passed, and he made it back home safe. Now, you know, the nice version of the story is he was so inspired, he sat down and he wrote the words to Amazing Grace and dedicated his life to God. The true story is he spent a few more years in the slave trade and then eventually got around to writing Amazing Grace and becoming a clergyman and studying theology. Sometimes it takes a little while for those messages to sink in. You may have had a similar experience in your life where it was very profound, and then the next day you get back to your normal life, and then a few years later it really hits home. So he wrote this text in recognition of that specific event. So as we sing this, I ask you to think about those storms in your life, those difficult things you're dealing with right now, those troubles, those challenges, maybe with someone who's sitting next to you here in the concert. And to realize that your prayers will be answered. You will come through, and that if God can save a wretch like him, it can save a wretch like you. Amazing Grace. Choir, stand, please. Join us in singing the melody, and then the choir will sing you a harmony version. Amen.